It smells like,
Barbecue?
yeah.
What better way to welcome new friends to the wilderness than a backwoods barbecue? Hello, Internet. I'm Ren, and today I want to talk about Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 7, Croak. This is going to be another low-maintenance review/breakdown, so it's just me, my notes, and my hyperfixation. This video will contain spoilers for Yellowjackets up to this point, so you have been warned. But with that in mind, let's hop right to it. Because, you know, the frogs. The episode begins with screaming CGI frogs crawling around in the wilderness, which we later learn are referred to as the Arctic Banshee frog. They surface once every 7 years with the regularity of a Vulcan's Ponfar to have a frorgy. Or a mating event, as our frog scientists more tastefully refer to it.
Summer-long frog orgy.
It's the mating event.
And yes, they are frog scientists, not birders, which we learned was actually planned from the inception of Yellowjackets, like from the very first pitch and original outline of the series. So for people who constantly assert that they're just making this up as they go along and don't have any direction with where they want to go with this story, you're just wrong. Sorry. This episode has spawned so many theories and really upended a lot of the assumptions that we've had so far. So, we get to know the frog scientists, Edwin and Hannah from KUH, and their guide, Kodiak.
Guess it's like they say. The heart wants what it wants.
And yes, that is Joel McHale. We first check in on the scientists 2 days before they meet the teens in the wilderness. They're doing scientist things like recording the frogs, and it's all very idyllic and even a little bit romantic as Hannah and Edwin seem to be a thing, although there is also a little tension between her and the guide. They're basically trekking through the wilderness, presumably from some not-so-nearby drop point.
Had I known how much hiking was involved, I might have chosen a different specialty, but I'm really glad we're out here.
But not for long. And for this brief moment with them, it almost feels like we're in a different show. And we almost see the wilderness through new eyes, the eyes of people who aren't stranded there, where it can just be a pretty place to research frogs. So partially due to the tension between Hannah and the guide that's a little flirty, Edwin and the guide have a less than friendly relationship. Edwin clearly has some jealousy issues.
You're smitten.
And it causes him to be a little bit combative with the guide. Kodiak, who goes by Cody, seems to be a little bit more rugged than Edwin. He wields a crossbow and has a bunch of gnarly scars.
Whoa, wait! Jesus Christ, almost took my ear off. Yeah, but it was his heart.
He kills a rabbit and cooks them dinner, saying,
"Dinner's on the house tonight, everyone. The wilderness provides."
Which is an interesting connection to the girls. But Edwin refuses to eat it, instead choosing to chow down on a chalky protein bar.
I'm good.
You know you're gonna run out of those at some point.
And we do get confirmation that the stash that Coach found was left by a previous team who came to research the frogs.
Well, the last team hit a stash somewhere, so...
So my theory that it was someone other than Cabin Daddy who left that out there was correct. Huzzah!
It's gonna rain. Didn't think you'd want all your knobs and whirly bits getting wet.
They get stranded for a night in a rainstorm.
There's not a cloud in the sky.
And all end up hanging out in the tent and hotboxing it a little bit. Hannah tries to get to know Cody.
Did you grow up out here? How'd you get into this backcountry stuff?
And he gives her, like, nothing. When Hannah asks him how he got into this wilderness guide thing, he tells her,
Followed a buck into the woods with my bow and never came out.
which is kind of interesting with the comparison the girls made to Travis with the stag and the kind of, like, Greek myth connection with Artemis and everything there. And it is a connection that gets reinforced when Cody jokes about being a frog expert.
Did you guys hear about those frogs that were looking for a leader?
And tells a story about Zeus.
They're like, we need a real king. Someone who takes action. So Zeus was like, fine, got him a heron.
The gist of it is a bunch of frogs wanted a leader, and Zeus appointed a heron, which then ate them.
You know what the heron did?
Which I think might be related to the girls and how they keep seeking a leader in the wilderness and basing all of their ruling decisions on murder and violence. Kodiak also tells us that he's named after the chewing tobacco and not the bear.
Your parents named you after the bear?
Chewing tobacco.
Interesting. And it is hard not to wonder if maybe he's related to Cabin Daddy. Although maybe not, because presumably if he were, he would know that the cabin was nearby and would probably lead them towards that to stay there. Or, mention its existence or something. We get a very 90s reference to Miss Cleo.
Why don't we call Mrs. Cleo?
A famous television psychic and scammer. And it results in some playful wrestling over the sat phone that, of course, breaks it. Because we can't have a working sat phone yet. We know the girls don't get rescued anytime soon.
What's the matter with you? This is our lifeline.
Relax. I'm your lifeline.
The next day, Edwin is convinced that he broke the sat phone on purpose, even though he was actually the one who originally took the sat phone out.
What if he broke the phone on purpose? You're near it.
And he basically just loudly makes a bunch of other accusations about what Cody might be up to Hannah while very much in earshot, to the point where he argues that they're going the wrong way.
I woke up this morning, I looked at the map again, and I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be going south right now.
This is his job. Just let him do it.
And that he could rob and murder them and leave them in the woods.
All I'm saying is, this guy could rob and murder us, and nobody would ever know. We don't know anything about this guy.
But, presumably someone knows they're out there with the guide. Like, this is a funded research trip, so people are approximately aware of where they are and who they're with. And we know they're getting close to the girls because they hit the area where the compass stops working, which some of the girls discovered with their attempted trek to civilization in season 1. We also see the symbol on one of the trees, which is not good news for these guys. That night, Edwin goes through Cody's things and discovers the name Eric Chong written into one of his shirts.
Look at this.
We're going through his stuff?
His name isn't Eric, Hannah.
Hannah offers the perfectly reasonable explanation that it could be secondhand.
Well, maybe he bought it secondhand.
But in this show, is it ever the perfectly reasonable explanation? And then Edwin smells barbecue.
Smells like,
Barbecue?
Yeah.
And he decides that they should go seek out whatever mysterious people are out there with them.
That means there's people nearby, and there's strength in numbers. I think we should go find them.
Great choice. Cody doesn't recommend it.
We don't recommend it. This far from civilization?
And reasonably so, as we're about to see.
I don't care. I'm gonna go check it out.
So they go sneaking through the darkness towards the sounds and smells. Hannah starts the recording. And they announce themselves to the girls, bringing us back to where we left off in the previous episode.
Hello.
The girls are, of course, quite surprised by the newcomers.
What the fuck?
And Van seems really excited about the prospect of going home.
We're going home.
Misty immediately asserts that Coach died of natural causes and throws the rib behind her.
We didn't mean to interrupt. We were just leaving. He died of natural causes.
And Edwin has this moment where he seems to recognize who the girls are.
Wait, this is, you all are, oh my god.
Because, of course, this has to have been an enormous news story back home and, throughout both countries. Pictures of all of them have probably been in the news for weeks. Unfortunately, that's the moment when the axe makes contact with his head because Lottie has somehow gotten behind him. That's the face of a normal, well-adjusted person. Why do you ask?
They don't belong. It doesn't want them here.
And all hell breaks loose. Hannah and Cody both make a break for it.
Run!
The girls immediately run after them. Melissa gets shot with a crossbow and begs Shauna not to leave her.
Shauna, don't leave me!
And Shauna totally leaves her.
Mari, he's dead. Get back there.
Although, to her credit, she does tell Mari.
She dies. You die.
Lottie keeps telling the girls over and over that they'll see.
They were probably here trying to help us. You'll see.
Which is, of course, a connection to what she told Van and Ty at the end of season 2.
He's pleased with us. You'll see.
So I guess we'll see. And Nat tells them to clean that whole mess up, just in case there are more people looking for them.
Clean this up! We don't know how many more are coming!
And the hunt is on. The teens break up into groups and hunt Hannah and Cody through the woods. It's terrifying. Hannah doesn't have the best instincts and wants to go back to camp.
But we gotta get our supplies.
No, you're gonna have to survive on instincts, and you wanting to go back to camp makes me think you don't have any.
And Cody basically tells her to keep up or figure things out for herself.
Stick with me or you're on your own.
She does not keep up. She ends up running through the woods alone. She gets her hair snagged on a tree and then hides in a hollow log. Shauna finds and pockets the hair. Is this going to be like another Jackie's ear situation where she like gnaws off the bit of skin that seemed to be stuck to it? And Cody ends up getting chased by Akilah, Travis, and Misty and runs right off the shit cliff. In the present day, Shauna's listening to the recording. And fast forwards to a part where Hannah is addressing her child, Alex.
I wanted you to be proud of me, not just a mom who had a teenage pregnancy.
It's really sad. And you can see Shauna making a mental connection with her since she, of course, was also a teen mother.
Not just a mom who had a teenage pregnancy.
And I think this might be the first time that the guilt for what they're definitely going to do to Hannah is really hitting her. Jeff interrupts because he wants to use the bathroom.
Are you gonna be a while in there?
Should I just use the bathroom in the lobby?
And when he threatens to use the one in the lobby, Shauna freaks out.
No, wait. Hey, you should not be spending time in the lobby.
And basically tries to confine Jeff and Callie to the hotel room for the foreseeable future.
We are hiding here from a murderer.
Well, I mean, you sent me down for snacks yesterday.
Circumstances have changed.
I get why, but it doesn't play so well.
So you get to just go whenever you want and do whatever you want. Tell me nothing.
Jeff is, of course, not impressed with the Jolly Hitcher.
Me, I'm stuck here in this poorly furnished shit box sitting on my hands.
Another great Jeff line.
Look, I appreciate that secrecy. That's your love language.
I love that he calls secrets Shauna's love language.
But you know that Callie is missing even more school, and you do recall that I run a business.
He tells her that he has her back.
You should know by now that I got your back. Are you going to let me help you?
And Shauna tells him that she doesn't deserve him.
I don't deserve you, you know?
No, don't be ridiculous. No. No, you're the love of my life.
And they have kind of a sweet moment together, although it's always hard to tell quite where Shauna's head is at. Like, is she playing Jeff, or is she really having a genuine moment of connection with him? I kind of think it's the latter in this case, although personally I do think she really does love Jeff and Callie, hence trying to keep them safe in her hotel room. But when Jeff asks what he can do for her,
There is something that you could do for me. Keep an eye on our daughter.
she basically tells him to make sure that Callie backs off.
She's really smart, and she has a lot of questions, but for her own safety, she needs to back the fuck off.
And also to back off himself.
That goes for you too, sweetie. Okay.
You know, for his own safety, not for any shady or mysterious reason. Meanwhile, Misty pays Ty and Van a visit at their luxury hotel.
I'm here to look your girlfriend in the eye and ask her why she failed to mention that she met with Lottie on the day she died.
And after Misty tells her that she met up with Lottie,
Did you murder Lottie?
Why would I?
Well, you lied. And you do have a history of doing crazy shit and not even knowing about it.
Van doesn't seem that shocked about the accusation.
You think she could have done it, don't you?
No.
And they tell Misty about the tape because, as usual, she's completely out of the loop.
Besides, it's obvious whoever sent that tape to Shauna is the one who murdered Lottie.
Tape. What tape?
Back in the teen timeline, as Hannah hides in the log, she records the message that we heard for her daughter.
My sweet baby Alex. I just need you to know that I love you.
And in the present day, Shauna tells them that there's more on the tape than just what Lottie did.
One of them recorded a message on it for her kid.
She had a kid. No.
She thinks the daughter is the one that's been blackmailing them and stalking her.
That woman, Hannah, had a daughter who somehow got hold of a tape and is out to punish us.
Which would make sense since Lottie was the first one targeted, presumably. And, of course, with Shauna being focused on as well, given her violent streak, I'm sure she has something to do with whatever's going to happen to Hannah. The other Yellowjackets are very concerned that Shauna's going to straight up murder this girl.
And you're going to...
Stop her, what else?
Especially Misty, who doesn't want to be on cleanup duty again.
Oh, great. I'm sensing cleanup.
And Shauna has the nerve to basically say,
I'm sorry, did I ask for your help?
to which Misty has a classically Misty reply.
Oh, not yet. But if past is prologue, you will. Late. And rudely.
that correctly points out how rude Shauna is. Listen, the murder and cannibalism I can abide, but the rudeness is where I draw the line. The gang insists on going along with Shauna to confront this mysterious woman.
Shauna, your track record's iffy. We're going with you.
So, girls trip to Richmond, Virginia.
What? We don't even know where she's going.
Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, it's pretty far.
Van's right, we're coming.
As they get on the road, Shauna explains how she found Alex.
I found the birth record in Hannah's hometown. It wasn't too hard to find a current address from there.
And Misty seems duly impressed with her sleuthing skills.
You did all that? Yes, Misty. I know how to Google and make phone calls.
They speculate about who else it could be.
Who brought the tape back from the wilderness?
And say that Jen and Mel were close to Hannah.
Jen and Melissa got pretty close to Hannah.
And that they're both dead.
Yeah, they're both dead.
To which I say, damn it. Okay, they don't say whether Melissa dies in the wilderness. And by the end of this episode, she's obviously still alive. So, the irrational part of my brain that's really attached to the idea of Hilary Swank playing adult Melissa, because they have her in blue contact, and I'm not sure who else would necessitate that, unless they do something totally insane and bring back Laura Lee, who is the only other blonde, blue-eyed member of the team that I can think of. It just doesn't make any sense. But the rational part of my brain says that Melissa is probably dead. Probably. But Misty points out it doesn't really add up. Like, why are they being hunted now 25 years later? Why now?
Why would Hannah's daughter wait 25 years to come looking for revenge?
They stop for gas, and Ty's card is declined when she goes to pay for it.
Oops. Must be all those hotel charges.
While they're waiting for Misty and Shauna, Ty and Van have a little chat.
Gonna tell me that you saw Lottie that day?
Would you have wanted to hear it? Because you chickened out.
Ty is upset that Van chickened out of their murder plot. Okay.
Even though the universe is telling us loud and clear what we need to do, so I went and talked to Lottie about it.
And kind of justifies her meeting with Lottie as an attempt to figure out what she meant at the end of season 2 after Natalie died.
That night Natalie died, she said it was happy with us.
Oh, God.
So she's claiming that she had nothing to do with what happened to Lottie.
Do you promise you didn't do it?
And Van seems to not be feeling so hot.
Are you okay? You look a little pale.
Just feeling a little motion sick.
And they get back on the road. Back in the teen timeline, Ty and Van find the frog scientists' camp and excitedly try to use the sat phone.
I'm gonna try my mom.
And of course, are heartbroken when it doesn't work.
It's broken.
They mention that KUH was on some of the stuff that Ben brought back.
That was the stuff that Ben brought back.
So I'm wondering how much of the survival supplies they're aware of, or how many items Ben had on him when they caught him. But Van really wants to go home.
You just need to find these people.
Meanwhile, Akila seems to be freaking out about the murder and questioning the amount of trust that she's had in Lottie up to this point.
Lottie must have had a good reason. Like maybe she saw something, like she knew he was a bad guy.
Which I'm sure most of the girls are feeling right now. After they drive Kodiak off of the shit ridge, Travis has a change of heart and uses the rifle to help bring him back up, begging him to take them back with them.
Wait, don't! Take us back with you!
Hannah buries her tape under some rocks, which is a good enough hiding place that I think she had to have told someone about it for anyone to find the tape. And she comes out with her hands up and is met with Shauna and Natalie. And all I can say is that she is extremely lucky that Natalie was there, because if it was just Shauna, it would be so over.
Let's figure out how we all get out of here. Okay, kill them. They'll come looking for them and find us.
And Shauna just explicitly wants to kill them both. She has already reasoned that there's probably going to be a search party that comes looking for them, so they'll get rescued anyway.
We can still get rescued without leaving any witnesses.
But Shauna is furious about what happened to Melissa and accuses Hannah of having shot her.
What happened back there was not you shot an arrow through a fucking friend.
Hannah tells them that she doesn't have any weapons, but she does know where they can find some first aid supplies.
I know where there's first aid supplies.
Presumably either back at camp or the stash that Ben found, in which case they'll be shit out of luck. Back in the adult timeline, Walter calls Misty and tells her that after running the DNA under Lottie's fingernails, it was a match with DNA that he took from Shauna.
It looks like Shauna is Lottie's killer.
Misty immediately texts the other women to let them know what's going on, and they try to get Shauna to pull the car over. Shauna definitely knows something is up, and initially refuses to stop the car.
Yeah, I get it. You guys want me to stop this car? I'm not going to.
Until poor Van starts throwing up blood. They rush Van to a hospital, and everyone finds out that Van has cancer.
Emergency. She has metastatic cancer and she's been throwing up blood.
She does? What?
Ty goes with Van,
I'm her family. She's my wife.
Okay.
leaving Misty and Shauna in the waiting room, despite Misty's protests.
I am not family, but we have a very intense trauma bond.
Doctor's immediate family only.
She accuses Shauna of killing Lottie.
We all know you killed Lottie.
How could you say that? How could you even think that?
And Shauna is very indignant for having accused Misty of doing the same.
Where were you yesterday, Misty? Excuse me?
Misty tells her about the DNA evidence.
There's DNA evidence. Lottie stayed at my house, okay? She was probably covered with my DNA.
And Shauna puts together that it's from under her fingernails.
This was collected from a location that's indicative of a struggle.
What, like under her nails?
And then she says she's going for a Coke from the vending machine and just makes a break for it. Now, personally, I think Walter is lying. I think that he's trying to frame Shauna. I think he's either involved with what happened to Lottie or just sees her as a convenient means to drive a wedge between Shauna and Misty. Van is having a tough time, and so is Ty. One of the patients in a neighboring bed starts freaking out about Satan.
The devil's calling! Can I get a hand here, please?
Not ominous at all. And Van starts hallucinating distressing things, such as her younger self lighting her hospital bed on fire, saying,
"We never actually cheated death. It was always an even trade."
And visions of the black-mouthed other Ty.
I don't want to talk to you. I need her right now.
But I'm the one who can save you.
I don't want Van to die, but I also don't really want Ty to go around murdering people. Back in the teen timeline, Lottie is applying her grisly face paint with poor Edwin's blood. Ugh. Jen and Mel are tending to Melissa, trying to get the barbed crossbow bolt out of her. They realize they're going to have to push it through. They won't let Lottie help.
Can I help?
Haven't you done enough?
Which makes sense at this point.
Those strangers, they were gonna ruin everything.
And Mari has some Mari words for her.
Go fuck your blood dirt, Lottie.
Just as they finish pushing the arrow out of Mel, Shauna and Natalie return with Hannah, who introduces herself.
Hi. I'm Hannah.
Back in the adult timeline, Jeff is tearing the hotel room apart looking for bed bugs.
This place is a dump. Enjoy your bourbon, Joel's.
And Callie, who has been researching, tells Jeff about a pair of scientists and their guide who went missing
In the fall of '97, 2 researchers and a guide disappeared without a trace.
right around when the Yellowjackets were stranded in the wilderness.
Less than 100 miles from where the Yellowjackets plane went down.
Jeff tries to reassure her
I mean, that's terrain like that.
and is correct that 100 miles is a long distance, especially in terrain like that,
100 miles, that's a long way. I mean, incredibly unlikely that they would have even seen each other.
and that people go missing in the wilderness all the time and are almost impossible to find.
It's very easy for someone to get lost and they'd never find a body.
But Callie points out that Shauna, Van, and Ty recognize that tape immediately.
I think it's a part of their research project. And Mom and Ty and Van, they all knew exactly what it was.
And she says the quiet part out loud.
I think we both know deep down they could have done it.
And we see Shauna arrive in Virginia, presumably outside of the residence of Hannah's poor daughter, preparing herself for a gentle conversation with a hunting knife, as we get a needle drop of Blood Bitch by the Cocteau Twins. Ah! Oh boy. All right, so this episode was another wild one. I think actually with how long the hunt part of it took, not a ton happened here, but really we didn't need a lot to happen. We got a good explanation of who the frog scientists are and what their whole deal is. And we finally know what the screams are. The animal theorists were right. We got some context for the blood-smeared Lottie. And I think we now know the meaning of Travis's drawing. I think the 3 figures in the outcome were the 2 scientists and the guide discovering what happened to Ben. We got some answers, but also so many questions. So let's get into some theories, because I have quite a few. First, let's talk about Kodiak. Who is he? What's he all about? With the Eric Chong shirt, I don't think he just got that secondhand. I think Edwin's instincts might have been right that he isn't who he says he is, and maybe even that he was somewhat sinister. I don't know if I think he broke the sat phone on purpose.
What's the matter with you? This is our lifeline.
Relax. I'm your lifeline.
But he may also have been familiar enough with the area to know that it doesn't work. The fact that he said
The wilderness provides.
feels like he's somehow associated with whoever left the symbols in the wilderness. I think the theory that he could be somehow related to Cabin Daddy is a possibility, but then I also think he might have known where the cliff was. On the other hand, there is a chance that he was just so freaked out by the whole thing, being chased by crazed teens in the wilderness, hearing gunshots while he's fleeing through the woods in the dark. Maybe he just lost his bearings and fell over the cliff. But, he's a wilderness guide, so presumably he knows the area, right? I think this whole wilderness wants what it wants thing might be indicative of something bigger than just the girls. So it could make sense if he really does lead people out there and ritually kill them himself. The way he sort of appeared in Lottie's vision and then appeared in front of the girls in this episode kind of makes it seem like there's something sinister about him. But I could be wrong. Maybe he's just going to be a really unlucky dude who gets murdered by some teenagers in the woods. At this point, I am a convert to the Hannah is Pit Girl theory, especially because the actress has short hair in real life and they actually had to give her the long hair in the form of a wig or extensions. It says to me that the long hair is an important visual choice to make her look like Pit Girl. Also, that scene where she's running through the woods with her hair down, it just feels so reminiscent of Pit Girl. And I know we got the same setup with Mari in the first episode of this season, but this one felt so much more on the nose because she was actually being hunted. So I think we're going to see that come full circle. With Shauna pocketing the hair, I think her hair is going to end up being probably a significant amount of the hair on the Antler Queen's little poncho, so that's a thing. I really hope we don't see Shauna eat the gristle. That would just be too much. It's already too much. We know that Hannah's going to survive long enough for Jen and Melissa to get close to her. Yes, I am still fully in denial that Melissa is dead. I think maybe she's not going to die in the wilderness, but if she does die in the wilderness, I think she's going to die trying to stop Shauna, probably Shauna, from killing Hannah. If they think that she died after rescue, there's a slim chance they'll do something as totally wild as having her fake her death. Or maybe she'll be in witness protection or something. Who knows? But I think Hannah, with her time among the girls, is probably going to try to use her age and knowledge of biology and science to gain some authority with the girls. And I think that's going to create conflict with Shauna going forward because, of course, Shauna just got leadership over the group. With Lottie now in such a tenuous position, I think that there's a lot less strength between Shauna's claim to leadership. And since it was Shauna's feast that got them into hot water with the frog scientists in the first place and resulted in all of the murder and madness, I think Shauna's going to be in less of a strong position. And because of that, I think she's going to feel threatened by Hannah, and that's ultimately what's going to lead to Hannah's demise. Although who knows, maybe it'll be Natalie again. And that, of course, leads us to the question, who is the blackmailer? My first guess is, of course, someone related somehow to Hannah, or even to Edwin or Kodiak. The most likely suspect at this point is probably the daughter, but I think that's too obvious. So my money is actually still on Walter, who allegedly, and I say allegedly because I only saw posts about this, I couldn't find it in the show and I didn't have time for a full rewatch, but allegedly, Walter told Misty at some point that he has a foster sister. If that's true, I think it's very likely that that foster sister will be Alex. In which case, it makes perfect sense for Walter to have this fixation on missing people and to want to solve this murder. But I think there's also a chance he's related to Edwin, or maybe to Kodiak, or he's maybe related to Hannah in some other way, like a sibling or another family member. But I just think he is somehow involved in this situation. That said, I do think the blackmailer could still be Melissa. Come on, Melissa. The Hilary Swank thing, it just makes sense to me. Why would they have Hilary Swank play someone blonde and blue-eyed if it's not Melissa? Also, one of the future episode preview descriptions talks about a former teammate showing up that freaks Shauna out, and to me, that screams Melissa. I think it's less ridiculous of the options between Melissa and Laura Lee. I don't know who else the blonde, blue-eyed woman would be. But that also leads us to the question of who found the tape. I think it's most likely that Hannah told one of the girls or one of the other teens where to find the tape. I think Natalie, who we've seen be consistently compassionate, is a strong possibility.
And let's figure out how we all get out of here.
And so the storage unit theory does seem like maybe a likely one to me. Maybe Nat found the tape, maybe Nat had it in storage this whole time because she was too ashamed to share the tape with Alex, and then Walter found the tape going through Nat's storage unit. We then get to, of course, the theory we keep wondering about, who killed Lottie? I don't think it's Shauna. I think it's too obvious at this point, and I think Walter is being shady. The fact that Misty can't interpret the results herself makes it so that she pretty much has to take Walter's word at it, and he knows because she told him that when she sent the information to him. That said, if Walter's not lying, it of course could be Shauna. Or maybe it could be Callie if he doesn't have the technology to tell if it's a mitochondrial DNA match or not, and that would explain why it was flagged as matching. But I do still think it's kind of unlikely it's Callie, both from her reaction to this whole thing and her assertion that Shauna's not a good person.
What if she's actually a bad person?
And just because how would she get out to the city, do that, get back, all of that. But her parents were both out of the house that night, so I wouldn't totally rule her out. Then, of course, we have Alex, or hey, maybe even Melissa, as revenge for what happened to Hannah. And then there's, of course, Jeff and Ty. I still think there's a not zero chance it's Jeff. But again, I do think they would probably make one of the parents be a slightly less worse person between Shauna and Jeff so that Callie has someone, but maybe I'm hoping for too much from the writers. Of course, it could have been other Ty, but again, I also think that's maybe a little too obvious at this point. As you can tell, it's hard to narrow it down. It really could be almost anyone. And last but not least, Card Guy. They lingered on him so long, I just find it so hard to believe that he's not going to come back in some more significant way, or that the fact that they left him alive isn't going to matter in a more pronounced and definitive way. A couple miscellaneous theories before we go. I do think Ty is going to kill for Van and going to continue unraveling as other Ty keeps her in check. And I do think Van is going to survive once lives are sacrificed for her. At least for a little while. Of course, we'll always have that plausible deniability of whether it's just luck or a miracle, but it's gonna happen. She's not gonna say goodbye just yet. I think the girls are totally gonna turn on Lottie from this point forward. I think at least for now, she's lost all credibility. And I think we're gonna see some fracturing with her relationship with Akilah and Akilah's visions and with Travis going forward. And I think Shauna is definitely going to try to kill Alex, and someone's going to barely stop her. Whether it's the other Yellowjackets, or whether it's Melissa, or Walter, or someone else. But I don't think she's going to kill her. She is going to try, though. I do think my search party theory is right, and that's how the girls are going to get out of the wilderness, but hopefully we'll see. I do wonder if they're going to be rescued by the end of this season, or if we're just going to get to the pit girl part of winter, or whether they're going to be rescued next season, but I do think their time in the wilderness is sort of coming to a close as everything that's happened out there is starting to unfold. But those are just some of my theories. Who do you think the blackmailer is? Who do you think killed Lottie? What do you think's going to happen to Hannah? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you next time. Wiedersehen.